Well, what is up, my friends, my YouTube family? Welcome to the channel. Today we got a cool build. Got this beauty, DIY acoustic panel. If you dig this stuff, please subscribe. We're a small channel and we're trying to grow. So let's get into it. This is a pretty cheap build. For all you home studios, you can totally do this. So the supplies are 18 pieces of foam, 2 by 2 by 2 foot, quarter-inch piece of plywood, 2 by 4, 2 1 by 3s, 2 1 by 2s, a battery LED strip, approximately 30 screws, and 1 spray adhesive can. Your grand total is $57, $57.22. Okay, so here I'm just cutting the frame out of the 1 by 3s, and this wood was horrible. I would advise maybe driving around town and finding different wood, because it's pretty bad, pretty warped, but it was cheap. Here I am using a square to make the frame actually square, which helps. You could use anything. No, you could use a right angle cardboard box if you want to. Okay, pre-drill your holes, especially in this cheap wood, these furring strips, because it'll split. Okay, I clamped it down just because of the warpage too. So there it is, finished frame. Looks square, looks good. Here I'm going to fit the plywood into it to make sure it will sit inside of it. The plywood will be used for the mounts of the acoustic stuff, acoustic foam. Okay, so now I'm cutting the 1 by 3s into just little pieces. I think they were 6-inch pieces. This will be the mounting strips, I guess you could call it, that I'm going to mount the plywood to inside of the frame. Again, pre-drill them bad boys, because it will split. Some of them split on me after pre-drilling too. It's pretty crappy wood. Also, I was driving my Jeepo, so I couldn't get like 4 by 8 pieces of plywood or anything. I had to buy like the more expensive, smaller stuff, but it worked. There I am fitting it onto the mounting bracket, the mounting pieces of wood. Fits perfectly. I had to cut it a few times because I measure twice. Measure 3 times, cut once. That should be the rule. 4 times. Okay. There's a nice tripod. What am I doing here? Okay, so now that it's all squared up and fastened in other ways, I'm taking the outside screws out and countersinking them with a step bit. That way there's no screw heads showing. And you can later go back in and fill that in with wood putty or a dowel rod or something. Okay, so with this cheap furring strip wood, the quality is not there. See where it just doesn't, the edges don't line up and whatnot. Right now I'm sanding off all the stamps and ink and squaring up the edges, at least make it look a little better. So I probably sanded for, I don't know, 10 minutes maybe. Super high grit, like 80 grit, just shredding it. Look at me move. Moving with the quickness. Okay, there's a tape measure. That's probably the only time I used it. What am I doing here? Okay, I'm adding spacers for the second frame that's going to house the LED strips. So it has to be offset because I didn't want to see the lights on the panel. So I wanted it behind the panel and shining out towards the wall, which you'll see here in a second. So I'm just mounting 1 by 2s to the mounting brackets, mounting boards or whatever. There you go. There's an offset. So it's a frame inside of a frame. There's a good old wood split. And you'll see later on, that's where the LED strip will go. Just need the checks. Okay, what's this? This is the foam. And this foam is super cheap, but it's got to be acoustic foam. I think this is 2-pound density. They're 2x2s by 2 foot. Okay, what am I doing here? Trying to calculate something. Product placement. Oh, I'm making a jig. So I'm making a jig to cut the foam because I have to cut a lot of it, right? A lot of little pieces. So each one of those slots is an increment. I think it was 1/2 inch, inch, 1.5 inches, and 3 inches. So I can make 4 pieces out of 6 inches. So if you do the math, that all adds up to whatever I needed it to in a good way. Okay, pro tip. Here we go. Use an electric carving knife. If you don't have one and you're doing this project, go buy one. It's much better than a razor blade. And this jig helped out a lot. Okay, here I am dry fitting my pieces. And I had royally screwed up the measurements, so I think instead of 24, it was 23 that fit along the row there. And because I've screwed up, I knew there was going to be some slop in the back piece, so I'm going to paint it now. I'm painting the little piece of plywood, and it's now dark time. I did not paint the camera lens. Okay, here I am cutting a lot of foam. I think it's like 300 pieces of foam. That's probably what took the longest. That was tedious. You can't tell here. This is madness, but I'm first coat of spray adhesive, and then you pull the tape. Okay, so all the tape is off. Hurry up, guy. Take the tape off. Rubber gloves too, latex gloves. Trust me. Once that stuff gets on your hands, it's on there for a while. So I started out doing one at a time here, which was brutal. Spraying one at a time and sticking it. I ended up doing 30 or 40 at a time and would spray them. Let them set. Let these pieces set for 30 seconds before you stick it. That way it solidifies a little bit, gets real gummy, and then you stick it. Okay, here's the LED strip, battery pack. And this stuff's so easy to use. It's got it's got pill tape on it, double back tape. And there I am just sticking it onto the frame within a frame, plugging it in to the battery. Make sure it works before you do all that work. I think I actually did that. So that's it, man. That's $50. You know, and that's a big piece. This is actually in a sign shop. My parents own a sign company, so this is where I was out of the cold. Yeah, so that's it. It was a fun build, quick build. I think it took me a few hours, and you could probably get it cheaper too if you, like I said, I was driving my Jeepo, so all the pieces were small pieces. But if I was to buy a 4x8 piece of plywood, better wood, you know, you could condense that price. You could probably build 4 of them for a third the price, right? So instead of 57, it would be $20 a piece or something. Okay, that's it. Thanks for watching this. We got more builds. Check out the builds. Please subscribe if you dug this. Till next time, my friends, have a good one.